Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a new Survivor video. And here we're going to have a discussion all about fire tokens. They were such a big part of Winners at War, for better or for worse. They are still immensely polarizing, I think, even to this day. And now that we've had a little bit of distance, we've had time to breathe, to just sort of digest the season. Did they work at all? Are there actual parts of this twist that can be brought back for future seasons?
Yeah, I mean, some of it worked, some of it, I don't know, man. We'll talk about that 50-50.
Okay, well, we'll talk all about it in here. But if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates that we've got coming up.
Yeah, so fire tokens in general, I mean, I know that when they first came around, it was pretty divided. So people were not having it. Other people were willing to give it a chance. And I was willing to give it a chance. I'm always willing to give anything new on this show a chance. You don't know, right? Something really cool could have come out of it, like Tony getting extorted, which was such a fun, ridiculous moment on the show. But I do think that if they are going to bring back the idea of a survivor currency, there has to be, the biggest problem for me with it is that there needs to be weight behind what these things are worth. Because it seems like you could buy something like an idol for a lot less tokens than getting extorted, or a 50-50 toss is like, 4 tokens or whatever it was, which is really rich for what it was worth.
The problems to me just sort of run rampant with the idea, and I like parts of the idea. I like this idea that there's something that you're incentivized to try to collect over time that's not just an immunity idol that you can use for a lot of different things. But a part of the issue to me is that unless you were being offered an idol or you were being handed an extortion, there was no real incentive for players to actually want to use them for anything else, because they're given a menu where if you're playing Survivor, you already know that you're going to be starving. You know you don't need to waste all your fire tokens on a bag of rice. Mm-hmm. You're gonna hold out for something else. But then if that something else never comes around because you're so dependent on somebody offering you something, then you're just stuck there holding your fire tokens being like, what do you want from me?
Yeah, and because this season nobody really knew how the fire tokens worked, they don't know what the value of them is, and it's still kind of questionable what the value of them is, that people were holding on to them, and there was a lot less sort of just trade with people. We saw a little bit of it, but I expected there to be a lot more of it, to kind of use them as trade with each other. But because nobody really knew what the value was, that didn't come into play as much. And so my hope is if they do bring them back, they're going to make it a lot more clear what the value is, because I think this was just kind of a trial run on, how's it really going to work? And what can you buy with them? I feel like the menu is going to change a little bit.
I think the menu has to change in the event that they decide to bring the show back. Because bring the currency back. Yeah. Because I just feel like there has to be a way to kind of constantly mix things up and keep things interesting. And I'm not even sure at the moment whether or not they should bring it back, because there is still that part of me that's like, okay, let's just have Survivor be pure. Let's not have 800 advantages. Let's just try to simplify things and keep things easy. But we also know Jeff Probst does not like that, and to a certain extent, it don't matter what we think, because Probst is just going to be like, advantages, and just throw as many things into the game. So we have to sort of be like, okay, Probst, if you're going to go crazy, let's just try to cool the jets a little bit. We can just try to guide him in the right direction here.
Yeah, and I mean, I found some of I know I give a lot of crap to the 50-50 advantage.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Because it was terrible, but I think really it was that you had to pay so much of your fire tokens for something that was just pure luck. The idea of having something that's just pure luck dictate your game in general is sort of like the idea of going to rocks, where it's just good luck to you. You get what you get kind of thing. And I don't like my game to be based on luck. I like it to be where you can actually have some sort of strategy about what the advantages you have or what disadvantages you get.
To me, this is the most interesting application that I can think of with fire tokens. So I've got an idea. We'll talk it through and we'll see if this is bad or not.
All right.
Okay, so first of all, set Edge of Extinction, just throw it away. We don't need Edge of Extinction anymore. I know if there's returning players, Probst will probably decide that we get them because that's what Probst likes to do. But let's just say there's no Edge of Extinction. Let's give everyone within the game fire tokens, and they have the ability to do things with them. They can potentially buy an idol with them, or they can buy an advantage, or if you want to really just go crazy, you can make them buy a mystery product and they don't know what it is they're buying.
Or buy a disadvantage to
Yes.
put on somebody. That is exciting to me, to be able to try to find ways to screw people over.
And I'm still not sure that I'm for fire tokens, but I think at least doing it this way is more compelling, because having it be related to Edge of Extinction, it feels like the game, your own personal game, you have a lot less sort of control over everything, because you're sort of being dependent on what people outside the game who have been voted off are going to do, and you don't know the dynamics that are going on over there. There's pre-game relationships that may come into play on returning seasons. It just feels like if you contain everything within the game, what you're doing at that point is, at the very least, you're maybe giving people a reason to not want to play a disadvantage on you, because maybe they will find out and maybe they will use that as an excuse to get rid of you. If you're on Edge, they don't care. They'll just do whatever.
Yeah, and that was kind of my problem with it. Like, it was, of course, funny and fun to watch Tony get that extortion disadvantage. But at the end, like, yeah, you're giving your tokens then to people who are over at Edge. We don't even know if they're coming back. We saw Natalie by the end of it just sitting on like 100 tokens for like what reason? Like, it didn't really end up playing out well. I'd like to see the currency stay within the people who are still really in the game and have that idea of, yeah, I would play, an extortion on somebody while I have to take responsibility for it if they find out that it's me. That there is that in the game, because it doesn't mean anything to anybody over at Edge to do something like that, because there are no consequences for it. So why not?
I have a couple other crazy ideas here too. So, okay, let's say then you have to have the fire tokens have some value. So, like you said, let's make sure that they have some valuable things on the menu and that it's kind of clearly defined. And let's say you even know in advance when the fire token twist is stopping, because on Winners at War, they just were randomly like, oh, by the way, fire tokens are over tonight. And there was like no build up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say then that when the end is coming in advance, you can kind of prepare accordingly. But let's also say you do something where, in order to buy for an immunity idol, for example, you have to hand over your tokens. But the twist here is there are only so many idols that can be bought, because obviously not everybody in the game can have an idol,
yeah.
and you can't stack the deck so that somebody who's terrible in the game but just keeps getting willed fire tokens can then just run the table with them.
For sure, because if there's only one idol that can be bought, and say person A goes to buy it, and then person B is like, oh man, I finally saved up enough tokens, I'm gonna go buy it, and you go to the menu and you go to buy it, and it's like, sorry, already bought.
That is what makes it great, because you make them have to give up their tokens, and then you tell them that they didn't have an idol, and then they're just screwed out of their tokens, and then they're mad, and then you can go on an investigative tour being like, who has the idol? And just like get interrogating on people. This, to me, is fun because it like adds drama into the game itself rather than trying to confront some nameless enemy on Edge of Extinction where you don't know what is going on. This is fun application, I think, to it, and you can probably find a way to inject a few other little fun things without being like, here's 8 advantages we're going to put into the game.
Yeah, I agree. There has to be only a couple of real advantages that are on the menu, and it's a first come, first serve. You get it, that's it. There is no more until it's played, then it's back on the menu. And so and they have to actually be worth something. It can't just be 2 tokens and you get an idol out of it. It's got to have weight so that if you are the person that's decided to wait and save up 6 tokens or 8 tokens or whatever it is to get that idol, that if it's not there, it means something.
Yes, you need to actually be mad tremendously if you lose them, and they have to add that layer to it. Now, the one bit of hope that I have for fire tokens, if they do decide to bring it back, it kind of goes into how Tony played them, because I think how Tony used fire tokens, it was smart because he was kind of using them as negotiating power, and there was a real sense of trade that went on down the road where he promised some, he made good on some promises to people. Like, that part of the fire token trade can work. Also, I think it can work here and there if you have people like, your beloved Yule, who kind of just blows up his own game using fire tokens to some extent.
That was so bad.
It is a delicate high wire act, and I think that part of it strategically, it can be fun to watch unfold.
Yeah, it was...
It was sad, but it was also fun.
It was fun to watch unfold. I just wish it hadn't unfolded on Yule.
Yeah, that is the real, I think, tragedy of all of this. But
because if Yule can't make that work and suggest something like that and make it happen, because he's really charismatic. He had all kinds of power just by the power of positivity and sort of keeping morale up and all that. When he suggested that, at first I was just like, oh man, if anyone's going to make it happen, it's going to be him. But no, if he can't make it happen, nobody's making it happen.
Yeah. The only other thing that I can really think of when it comes to fire tokens and the highs and lows of these is that they got to do a better job of actually giving clarity as to who has what, who's trading what with who. It became a mess on Winners at War. And granted, on another season, presumably, we won't have Edge of Extinction to keep track of as well. But
yeah.
I almost just gave up trying to figure out who had however many fire tokens because it didn't really felt like it mattered, and it just was way too confusing.
Yeah, they need to make it really clear, and I know that they had their name with like the little fire token and then decide what was going on, but it was so quick and so small that it was difficult to actually see what was going on there and to keep up with it as it was going. No, there needs to be either at the beginning of the episode, just give us like a list. Here's everybody, here's where their standing is, here's their fire tokens. We're all on the same page.
This is just my final verdict on this for now. I'm okay with one more season with fire tokens to give them a chance again, because there was at least enough memorable stuff in Winners at War that I'm all right having them back. No on Edge of Extinction. But if it feels like there are too many disappointing things again, and I feel like there were a lot of disappointing things with them in Winners at War, I think you scrap them and just don't bring them back. We don't need to constantly have a trial run on Survivor for things that just aren't working right now. If you give something 2 tries and it's flawed both times, the game is good enough on its own.
I'm willing to give it one more chance. There were some things about it that I found really entertaining, but it's time to just see what it's like without Edge, without any outside influence. Let's just see what the currency looks like when it's just everybody in the game. Everybody has stakes in the game, and everybody has stakes with the currency. And I want to see how that will work.
Also, use them to bring back the Survivor auction. Can we please have the Survivor auction again? Okay, anyway, let's just hear from you guys. Fire tokens. Yay? Nay? Eh? I don't know if that's like the symbol, but anyway, let us know what you think about them, and if there is any way you could see them working in the future in the comments. And if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store, and we'll see you here next time.